gentlemen, on the guest list today, we have a Chicago legend. The number one person I wanted to talk to in Chicago when I came in. The founder of Fake Shore Drive, Mr. Andrew Barber on the podcast.
Hey,
Andrew, how are you, buddy?
Hey, what's up?
Dude,
Tell him what I said when you proposed bringing him on here.
I texted the group and I said, yo, I want Andrew Barber. And Dante was like, no fucking shot. No chance, dude. He was like, nope, not going to happen. And I sent one DM and he
like,
graciously got back to me.
I was like, he's way too busy.
Nah, dude,
I don't bother him.
You know, Dante, I'm surprised Dante didn't hit me. Dante's my guy. I mean, we're social media friends. We're not like best friends in real life.
I know, but I didn't want to ask for a favor and put that on you.
Oh,
I
man.
know how busy you are.
No,
It's
dude, it's all good.
insane. Like,
Well, I mean, I told Dante, I was like, Dante, I think we can do it, dude. I think we can make it happen. And I sent it in the group. I was like, yo, we got Andrew Barber. And he was like, he just texted back, fuck, how? And I was like, DM, bro, simple DM. But, dude, thank you for being here today,
Oh,
brother.
no.
thank you very much for being
No,
here.
of course. It's an honor and a pleasure, you know.
I mean-
saw the other ones. They've been like via satellite, Zoom, and everything.
This is the first time I've been doing this podcast with Dave for 10 months, and we've never met until yesterday.
Wow.
Never-
That's the crazy thing about the internet. It's like
Yeah.
best friends with people you don't
It's the
even-
craziest thing about the pandemic. Like, we legitimately had to do everything through Zoom. And, I mean, I met Dante 2 weeks ago in Tampa.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm kind of just, like, flying by the fucking seat of my pants over here. But I was like, if I'm going to come into Chicago, and we've been talking so much about fucking blog era hip-hop and all this shit, I need it from the horse's mouth. I need Andrew Barber on the podcast. And I can't thank you enough for being here today, bro. First off, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you.
Running around like crazy?
I can't complain too much, man. You know.
Good, man.
Staying busy.
I think to start out, my first question is, because you founded Fake Shore Drive in 2007.
Correct.
Did you think in 2021 it would still have impact?
Man, not really. No. I mean, people ask me that, and you know that 2007 seems like the dark ages. You know, internet,
Seriously,
internet
dude.
world. Like there was no Twitter then. There was no.
Jesus.
There's barely Facebook. You had to be in college, I think, to have.
Oh my
Facebook
God! It was still like the OG
Yeah.
university
It
Facebook.
was MySpace. It was like hitting
Jesus.
people up on MySpace, and like
my God.
there was obviously no Instagram either. So it was such a different time.
Yeah.
You know. And I just started it as a hobby.
Right.
Because there was so much cool stuff happening in Chicago at that time in the music space that was not getting any coverage on the blogs,
Right.
other than like 4 artists, you know, those being Kanye, Common, Lupe,
Twista.
or Twista, right?
Yeah.
Those were like the 4 big ones.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of other cool stuff happening locally. And I was just doing it as a hobby. You know, I always wanted to work in the music business.
Right.
But being in the Midwest is not necessarily like an easy way to get into it. And it's not like it is now. Like you can do whatever you want.
From wherever you
Wherever you can do anything you want now, but that was not a reality.
I mean, that was
2007.
legitimately what we were saying. Like, we've been doing this via satellite from Philly, LA, and Chicago. And we've run 50 episodes of a podcast. Like, back then, that shit wasn't going to happen. But,
No.
I mean, so give me the early days, because we're going to get into what's going on today. But
Sure.
2007, where are you?
Working a corporate job. That was cool. I mean, it was nice. You know, I learned like structure, getting up every morning, working, and you know, had to wear a suit every day. Not every day, but most days. But like, you know, you get up, live that life, and then I was living another life at night. So like, once I got done with my corporate job, I'm going out to concerts, events. You know, yeah.
It sucked.
Yeah, right. I mean, I'm totally living a double life.
I'm in the middle of a
4
double.
hours of sleep a night.
Yeah, I
and
mean-
it's doubly hard here because places are open till 4 in the morning here.
Dude, I noticed that the
Chicago.
venue tonight's open till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
I'm from
dude.
Philly, 2 o'clock hard shut off, dude.
So
Yeah.
like, and if you're going to shows, these guys aren't going on till 1 in the morning.
Right.
Jesus.
By the time they hit the stage, you get to see a couple songs, and it's like, dude, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah, and then you're dragging your ass into the office the next day, smelling like booze, looking
Yep.
like shit. It's tough. So
Yeah,
how
it's
many
tough.
years were you doing that?
I did that for probably the first four years. I was
Jesus.
doing that. I had to get to a certain point where I could, cause like, dude, eventually, like, obviously, everybody figured out how to make money from blogs, and
Yeah.
you know, I didn't get into it to make money. I just got into it because I loved it, and it was a hobby.
Right.
It wasn't really a viable career path at the time. I didn't think there was any way that I would, you know, could turn this into like a real like career.
And I
It
mean,
was-
it makes me laugh because I was the one that put the impetus behind doing this. And I found you in Philly, like in high school and shit. And Fake Shore Drive influenced so much on me, like to look at what it's done in 2021. Like it's such a fucking legendary brand. It's so much had happened. But to start out, were you like doing it from your cubicle?
Oh yeah, dude, I was totally. I was,
company dime.
dude, and I was working for a Fox-owned company, National Geographic Channel / FX Network. So I was working for those two And I was completely running the blog like from my desk during the day.
Jesus.
Like and I can't believe they never caught me. Like
They didn't catch you?
they never caught me.
Dude,
Well,
in the early days of Barstool, it was blocked at both my previous jobs. You couldn't go to the website, and I would write blogs in through emails and have other people post them for me.
I had to do that too.
And I would spend like hours doing some blogs during the day because anything to get away from like getting chewed out by a client in corporate America, fuck that. So I feel your pain there. Like,
Dude, I had to. What do you remember this? Maybe you had to use this because, like, they blocked WordPress for a minute. I don't know why it was blocked. It was only like for a few months, and then they brought it back. But it was like this connect to my PC, and you could like download a program. You could go through a portal of like a web page, and you could log into your computer at home.
So you were working from your computer at home?
At home from work.
What?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
I know what you're
Do
talking
you guys know
about,
what?
yeah.
Oh my God.
It was like $100.
So if you call like customer service and you fuck something up, they can tap into your computer sometimes.
Yeah,
It's like saying, I forget what it's called, but I know what you're talking
I know
about.
exactly.
It was like connect to my, and I was doing that for a while. I mean, whatever I had to do, because at that point, in hip hop blogging, music blogging, it was all about who's first.
Right.
Because if you're not first, you're last. Like it's like if you have an exclusive song, you got to get it up right then. If video drops, you got to get it up right then. I mean, it was a race for content, so I had to be on it, and that was a rough time. But
Just in your suit at work, connecting to your computer at home, trying to blog the latest Twista song. Like
exactly, and I started getting phone calls from like different people. They'd be like, MTV might call me, and they'd be like, "Hey, we need you to come. Can you come be on this mixtape of the year panel?" It's like, listen, I really can't. I got this job, and it was like it was difficult. So I had to go through that and like turn a lot of stuff down because I had to work the job.
Dude, that's literally where I am right now. Up until 2 weeks ago, I was working a different job, and I would sneak out at lunch and go home and fucking record with you guys, and then sneak back out. Like, you say double life, and I'm living it right now. Like, legitimately living it. And I like.
Have you quit your job yet, or is it?
It was a mutual parting of ways.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's over with. So the job's over with.
It's over with, but I'm
So
still.
now, do you feel guilty? You feel guilty with all this probably free time?
No, I mean, I'm still bartending in multiple places. So, like, I love how I could go with the full rock star persona and be like, no, I'm just playing shows. Listen, it's Corona world. Like, I'm still not back to playing shows. Like, I'm still whipping drinks every once in a while. Like, got to make ends meet. But, like, I know that double life game. Dante, you live like 12 lives, so I don't even know.
Yeah,
like,
this guy's always talking about me. This guy's always somewhere doing something.
But I don't know. I have I have like freedom over stuff. I don't have that many like obligations. I mean, you're a Grammy judge now.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, I've been on. I was on the Grammy board 10 years. I'm termed off now because I did a decade. After 10 years, you gotta.
Oh, I didn't know
take
that.
a break.
So, were you a Grammy voter?
See, I can't vote.
Oh.
I've been on the board. I was the head of membership in Chicago. I was a secretary. That's as high as I could go because I'm not a voting member. See, to be a voting member of the Grammys, and there's so many questions and misconceptions about the Grammys and like what they do and other things that they do besides just the award show because they have music cares and things like that.
Right.
Which I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Takes care of artists, DJs, whatever. Like if somebody's on hard times, like they'll take care of you.
Oh, that's
Send
sick.
people. It's a really good thing. But to vote, you actually have to be an artist or have music credits.
No shit.
Which I don't have. I came in as a journalist, blogger, whatever.
Yeah.
So I have to abide by that. Even though I've done management, and I think some managers can vote, but like you typically have to be an engineer,
Right.
A music producer, a songwriter. You have to be an actual performing person to vote.
Would you want that responsibility though of having to vote for the Grammys?
Yes.
Really?
It's crazy that I can't vote.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We need
I
to,
should be able to vote.
We need to start
You
a
can vote.
campaign. Yeah, Dante, could you vote?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I never knew that till right now.
You could be a member.
I thought it was like an academy of friends of friends. I had no idea.
No, dude, anybody can join. That's
No shit.
if you work in the music space.
Yeah.
Now you have to be nominated. Every person gets 2 nominations. Every member gets 2 nominations a year. But yeah, it's not. I think people feel like think it's like you have to be invited to it, and that's just part of the misconceptions of it.
There's a lot of misconceptions about the Grammys, or maybe they're not misconceptions, but there's a lot of shit talked about the Grammys. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much, like, in the industry every year, people complain about, like, who won this, the nominees for this. But I think that's just award shows in general. I mean,
in general.
In general. But
Well, I think a lot of people don't know that their peers vote for who wins. Like, it's not somebody picks the award.
see, I didn't know that,
It's
actually.
a voting. it's people vote on it, and you're only as good as your voting body, right?
Yeah.
So if there's no like people complain about hip hop, who wins this and that, but it's like if people in hip hop aren't signed up to be voting members, and when the ballots come, they don't vote. That's how you end up with typically like the most popular person winning, because somebody that is a classical artist that makes or plays jazz, they just see the biggest name,
right?
And they're like, oh yeah, Eminem.
Oh, Macklemore had a great year. Let's give it to him. So
or Jay-Z, whoever's the biggest artist, it's usually, and maybe they don't deserve it that year.
I feel like they got it right this year with the 5 nominees, though. Like I feel like for like hip hop album of the year, I like what they did, and of course they're all like brand name artists, but I feel like at least they got like Tyler being in there. Like I'm really happy about that. But
definitely.
So let's take it back. So you're working from your office.
Yeah.
Who's the first artist that really kind of put you on? Like, who was the person that kind of like got you out there enough to say like, okay, Fake Shore Drive's a thing?
There was a lot that you maybe. I mean, you're probably looking for a bigger name. Probably Twista. Like out of the bigger artists from Chicago, he was one of the first people to embrace me. He gave me an interview super early.
Yeah.
No ID, the producer.
Oh, yeah.
He embraced me. Traxter, legendary Traxter, who produced a lot of the stuff for Twista. Bump J, if you know who Bump J is.
Oh, free Bump J.
Yeah, Bump J, he's free now, but Bump J and the Goon Squad were probably the first people to embrace me. Him and his brother Shake, and Shake works for The Weeknd now. And,
oh shit!
And the whole EXO crew. He's part of that in L.A. now. But yeah, they were just happened to find me. I think they had Googled Bump J and they found it. And
just searching his own name.
And I met Shake, and yeah, they were vanity searching, right? I mean, we've all done it, so
all the time,
right? But they opened up a lot of doors to me where I was able to meet people, and it's like you meet one person, they introduce you to another, and then next thing you know, you're moving.
Dude, that's awesome. So, what was the point where you decided, all right, I have to go all in on this and quit the day job and really go after
it? Was 10. So it was 10 years ago in May.
Wow.
This past May, I've been doing it full time. For 10 years. I was close to where I had like a number in my head. Okay, if I can make, because I did the blog for years without making any money.
Right.
Like, I was on Blogspot. This is before I joined, right? It was a Blogspot. It was a Blogspot. And then eventually I moved over to WordPress, and, I had different people helping me out and doing because I don't know how to code or do that behind the scenes stuff, right? So, eventually I got to started making some money. I got to a point I was close to, and my wife, she was we weren't married at the time, but she was like, all right, you're close. Like, you got to go. You got to do it. If you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. Like, you're going to get too old. You're going to get too scared or whatever.
That's such a beautiful thing, though, dude.
I love that.
Yeah. And she was like, look, if you fail, I got you. We'll figure it out. But if you just got to, she had my back.
I love that.
That's a great wife.
Yeah, that is a great wife.
She's had my back the whole time. And she's the one that really pushed me to do it, because it's scary to jump out there and
hell
do
yeah.
full time.
Terrifying.
Right?
Yeah. The safety net of a check every 2 weeks is like the biggest trap in the world.
It's a vice. It's handcuffs, man.
And it's terrifying to walk away from. It's terrifying to walk away from that, and
it is.
You have to hustle to make your own money. But I mean, so in those days, were you making money on like Google AdWords?
Little bit on there, and I was freelancing. Like, I was doing anything.
Really?
Like, anything to just try to, like, so, I struck up a friendship with, like, Noah Callahan Bever at Complex, who was, like, the editor-in-chief there. So he started throwing me work and, like, hey, you want to write this top 50 Chicago rap songs of all time list? So I started doing stuff like that. Different publications started reaching out to have me freelance.
Nice.
And then, I started doing little stuff here and there, started doing little shows, concerts, just different ways. It's like it's like you got to have 10 jobs for one salary, right? It's like to work in music, it's a constant. You got to have a lot of different balls in the air, and that's just that's how I learned. So it was a big change going from that constant paycheck every week or 2 weeks, whatever it is, healthcare, 401k, all that stuff that you give up.
Yep.
But
no, once your brand and your name started getting out there a little more, and people were reaching out to you, did any of the Complex magazines, and did they ever offer you a full-time job like Rolling Stone or something?
I mean,
or were you just like hell bent on doing your own thing?
Yes and no. There were people would say you should come, do this, but I kind of like the freedom of doing my own thing.
Yeah.
And it was like if somebody, of course, had made some crazy offer, like that I couldn't refuse, I probably would have considered it. But like, yeah, I mean, I think sometimes being in Chicago is kind of like you're on an island. I think it's better now.
Yeah.
But back then for music, there was like, media is in New York. All the media companies for the most part are in New York, or and a lot of stuff's in LA. So it was like there was nothing here. So I would have had to move to New York, or I would have had to move somewhere else. So I wasn't really interested in doing that because my brand was so synonymous with being in Chicago, right? It would have been like I would have had to basically stop doing that if I would have moved to New York or LA.
Was there ever a moment where you were like slightly considering like maybe I can do it from New York or LA, or was it always like I need to stay in Chicago?
Well, I mean, to have your pulse on the scene, you really need to be here.
Yeah.
Especially in the years when things were really crazy, like when that 2012, 2013 era.
That's Keef and that's Dirk and Chance.
Like all that time period was like, it was crazy. And that's what we'd worked for. Because like, when I started in 2007, and that's like right after that Kanye, Common, Twista wave of like 2004, 5.
And then what was it like? Cool Kids?
Then it's Cool Kids after that. And then it's kind of like you got the cool and there's different people, but it wasn't like it was a hotbed where labels were coming here and trying to sign people. Like that just wasn't happening. It was crazy that there was a lot of really talented artists here, but people just weren't paying attention.
Right.
Certain artists were getting blog love and getting placed different places, but like it wasn't like when the Chief Keef thing happened and like then every record label was calling my phone nonstop every day. They were flying in here trying to take everybody out to lunch and like basically trying to sign anybody. They were like trying to sign anybody.
Yeah, is there anyone who sounds like Chief Keef?
Anything. And then it's like, oh, does anything? Oh, Chance is the new guy. Oh, what sounds like Chance? What can we sign that's like this? That was like a really crazy time.
I mean, so we can't gloss over the Chief Keef era because I mean, like that is like legitimately like the second act of Chicago hip hop in a weird way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
What
I'll
was
let you finish
what was that like in the city? Like, was there ever like a division between like the more like backpack era Kanye fans and then the younger group that was coming up, or was the city all on board?
No, there was a big division. It was crazy because I think what happens a lot of times is, and I think this is any genre, maybe not just hip hop. I think it could work for rock and roll or whatever. But okay, so you have a system in place where it's like, okay, you have to, pay your dues.
Yeah,
you got to go do open mic nights, or you got to do ciphers, or you got to you got to start at this venue doing a show and then work your way up. And, and this, and then like, you had to pay your dues. You had to, respect your elders and kind of, it was like this is the way that it's done.
Right.
And then Keef and these younger guys, they embraced the internet and they were like, fuck all that. We don't care about paying dues. We don't even know what, like, that's not even why we're like, and they just came and it was like, whoever was like trying to come up at that moment, it was like basically an asteroid. Like when that meme where there's like dinosaurs walking and like the asteroids are coming. Like that's what it was. It was like, all right, whatever's here now that didn't get cross over the line, like
dead.
This is the new wave. The new generation is here. And it was like embrace them, embrace it, and get ready for it, or like,
I don't want to get too far ahead because I want to ask this towards the end on what you see as the next kind of phase or genre, but I want to ask that because while we're on the subject, you were so far ahead of the curve when it comes to this like drill music or drill rap, and I know for a fact nowhere else in the country was playing this stuff. I mean, from a DJ perspective, we were getting requests in the booth for Chief Keef back then, or like King Louie, and being like, what fucking song is that? And people are like showing their phones to you. I mean, it was only here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I mean, you were years out ahead of that promoting these guys. So did you just know that things were trending in that area, or did you know that they had that it factor? What was it?
I think, man, part of the success of, if it's probably even the same with sports or whatever, like, some people just have an eye for, all right, or sound like, okay, this is going to be next. I see how people are reacting to it. I see how people are reacting to the music. I see the traffic. I see the social, but it's like you got to be able to like see it before everybody else does, right?
30,000 foot view. You're looking down.
You're like, okay, this is something. Like you just see how people were reacting to it, and that was I hadn't heard a lot of local music other than like those big artists that we said. Like that's when I started going out, and I wasn't going to like off the beaten path, like hole in the wall places. Like you could go to Underground or any of these, Paris Club or whatever, and they were playing local records, and I
Right.
wasn't used to hearing, a Chief Keef in the club, or they weren't playing a lot of local artists like in there, and people were losing their minds. I mean, you saw as a DJ, you saw that probably firsthand, right?
Yeah, and it was really cool because, like you said, the New York like club kind of set the tone for so long when it came to music, and it would take. I mean, this is no diss to anyone in Chicago, but you could see how long it would take stuff to migrate out to New York. So like going back and forth like I would all the time, play a club in New York and there's a record that just went off, and it would take, you'd come back to Chicago and it would clear the floor. But then a month, 2 months later, it's blowing
It would
up.
take time, right?
And
I feel like,
then-
does that
and then
still
it-
happen?
Yeah, but then it changed, not to the same extent, because this younger generation so dialed into the internet.
Yeah.
And
Same with fashion. It's like fashion.
Yes.
yeah, for sure. But in that era that we're talking about, like late 10s, early teens, it flipped. So like the Chicago stuff was taking longer to get out to the coast. I'm not talking like years, but I'm talking like weeks and months.
Which in the internet era is years.
Right.
Yeah.
But seeing it was like really cool because Chicago was fucking there. It arrived. And like Andrew was saying, for so long in the 2000s, it felt like Chicago was irrelevant. So you had the LA, New York, obviously West Coast, East Coast beef. Then you had
The
30 South
Yep.
pop up. Then you had fucking city like St. Louis got put
Oh
on the
my
map.
God. St.
And then
Louis.
Detroit. So these like little brother cities to Chicago. And it was so who
These B-list cities.
obviously Kanye, was a huge deal. Who do you think put Chicago on the map? If you had to,
I mean, as far as rap and hip hop is concerned, like I think you have to give Common and Twista the utmost respect.
same.
Different sides of town, came in around the same time. It took a long, dude. I mean, and I every time I see Twista, and I have a good relationship with both of them, but more so Twista, and I really like both those guys. I really love Twista. Like Twista's the nicest, coolest dude. Always embraced me from day one. But like without them, and we had this long conversation recently. It's like, these guys, and there's other people. Crucial Conflict, Do or Die.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
the first Chicago record I ever heard on a New York radio station was Crucial Conflict.
Was it Hey?
Yep.
Hey was huge.
Was it 98?
96.
All right.
So that's 96.
even earlier. But yeah, that was the first time I ever heard a Chicago artist on a hip hop station.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
like
was like-
Crucial Conflict, Hey, and Do or Die Pope Pimp had Twista on it.
Yep.
Those popped around the same time, 96. Those were both 96. So that was like that first wave.
Right.
So those guys, like Twista came out, he was the first artist actually signed to Loud Records, which is the famous New York label, or I guess LA, New York label that had Wu-Tang Clan, Mobb Deep. But first,
Really?
before all them, Twista, he was Tongue Twister, Tung,
Oh.
and he was like more gimmicky, and that wasn't his thing. But then he came back with Do or Die.
Yeah.
But I mean, the analogy that I was going through with him was like, those guys walked, and it was like a fucking wooded, it was like a jungle, right? And they're just walking through there with,
Machetes.
a machete cutting. I mean, you probably heard this analogy. Like they're walking this by themselves,
Yeah.
and they're laying. That's why I always give the utmost respect to the pioneers and the people that came before us that allowed us to walk behind them.
100%.
And then by the time, here comes Kanye 10 years later or 8 years later or whatever, and he starts, he's laying pavement.
Yep.
And he's building, he's putting buildings in.
And
by the
then
time-
Chief Keef knocked them all down.
but then they add some other shit and so you cannot, obviously you got to show love to like the No IDs and Common and Twista Traxter, Crucial Conflict, all those people, absolutely. But then Kanye's arguably the biggest rapper of ever,
Easily.
right? One of the greatest entertainers of all time, period.
Yeah.
We could debate about that all day, but it doesn't get any bigger than Kanye.
What was it like watching his rise? Like I saw the other day you posted, literally I think 2 days ago, you posted the anniversary of Slow Jams.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yesterday.
It was
Yeah.
just wild seeing Kanye in a polo shirt
I know.
and
With
like
the brain and
and he's young and
He's got the Rockefeller chain on.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, and it's like that feels so long ago, but
It
it
was.
wasn't. So, like,
Oh,
I mean,
18?
13 years. It feels
18.
18 years. That's
18 years
yeah,
ago.
well, you got to think about
2003.
it. So this is like my introduction to Kanye. I was in 5th grade at this point. Like that, Kanye has
crazy.
been omnipresent in my life. This is the first record I ever bought with my own money. Was College Dropout. Kanye's been omnipresent in my life since I was in 5th grade. So it's
That's
like
nuts.
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And now you just wonder why I wear the Yeezus shirt all the time. Like Kanye's a big deal to me. But I mean, I like the fact that you listed Common because there is no Kanye without Common. And I also
No ID like that. No ID's who taught. No ID and this guy named Andy C. Those are the people who taught. Extreme. There's a lot of people that were around then that taught Kanye how to make beats and helped him make beats and schooled him. So I don't want to, and I'm probably forgetting people, but I always want to make sure that I shout out those people because without them, it wouldn't be possible. But I remember what it was like summer 2003 as Through the Wire
right.
hit, right? Seeing that video on TV for the first time. And like all he had out were mixtapes.
Yep.
Right.
And you could go to Tony Sports or these different places and they would have stacks of
Dude, I love
mixtapes
this.
that
Dude, this
you
is
would
Meek
have
for
to
me.
buy, right?
This is Meek for me.
But
We
they
used to
would
go to
be-
Franklin Mills Mall.
Okay, right. So
I
you saw that.
I told these guys, so I'm at Loyola, I'm in college, and that I Am Kanye West CD comes out, or the mixtape comes out, and everybody thought, some of them were misprinted. Some
Oh,
of them thought his
God.
name was Kane.
Yeah.
K-A-Y-N-E.
People didn't know.
And my friends out east, fuck it, they was it on that Piff? I think it was on Dat.
Did that Piff exist at that time?
That not yet. I don't think that Piff came a few years later.
somehow it got out east.
Yeah, you could download them online. Like, but they were.
Yeah,
you had to
yeah.
be good
And
at the
everyone
internet.
was
Yeah.
like, bro, have you heard this Kane West guy?
Oh God.
So like that, he was that obscure.
Yeah.
And then it was like a rocket ship.
He has a rap line about.
I was
that.
just gonna
It's
say
like
that's
the
diamonds, yeah.
Yeah, my plaques still say Kane.
Some of
did.
my plaques they still say Kane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean, like, Kanye's the one person that we've talked at the most length about. But like, who do you feel like from your own perspective in the Fake Shore Drive world that you guys had the biggest hand in kind of shining light on? Is there one artist that like you can look back on that jettisoned to the forefront that you felt like you were the earliest on?
I would say, well, Fake Shore Drive doesn't happen without like Lupe Food and Liquor,
Right.
and that whole thing like that. But it was the Cool Kids that really inspired it. When I
love the
saw
Cool
what the
Kids,
Cool
man.
Kids were doing, I'm like, yo, these guys. I watched that whole thing happen, and they really inspired me. That's why I go out of my way to always show those dudes love, and whatever I can do for the Cool Kids, I always will, because that's what really inspired me to do it, because they were doing these shows, and there would be a line like 2 blocks down the street at a bar, at a hole in the wall bar to see the Cool Kids, and nobody was covering them. Nobody outside of Chicago really knew about it. I mean, like certain DJs did, A-Track, Diplo, people like that knew about them and were like would work with them when they would come in town and bring them out. But the it rappers on the blogs of the world, they do a show at the House of Blues that might be half full, but the Cool Kids were selling stuff out and had lines down the street. So like being able to be a part of that and see the way that they influenced culture and they influenced they've influenced generations of people now. But probably the thing that I was the most hands-on with would be like obviously the Chief Keefs, the King Louis, the Dirks, but then of course like Vic Mensa and Chance. I mean Chance, I was there from the beginning with Chance too.
Was watching him just take over the world, like going from 10 Day to Acid Rap to Coloring Book, like it seems like it was so freaking fast. Like it just like it was astronomical. Like it was fucking crazy. Like what was it like to be on the ground level of that?
Man, it was like the most amazing thing ever. And he thanked me at the Grammys. When he won his first Grammy, he shouted me out.
Wow.
Like, in the crowd, because we were going crazy when he won. And he shouted me out. I was like, yo, Andrew Barber. And that was like one of the best moments of my life.
I have
Like
to go back and
you know what
rewatch
I mean?
that video now.
Yeah, it's on my Instagram. You got to go back. It's just been like almost 5 years. I mean, that shit was almost 5 years.
I know, it's so
But
crazy.
like, dude, I was like so overcome with joy and emotion, even if he didn't do that,
Yeah.
it was dope. And I think I'm forever indebted for him to do that, But like, I was just so overcome to, all right, here's a guy that I knew, I would drive him to the train and he would come to my office and we did his first, album listening party and all this different stuff. And to go from that in 3, 4 years, 5 years or whatever, this man's on the stage winning 3 Grammys.
It's insane, dude. So
it's great.
Like
Like,
you're like I finally did it. Like you're holy grail.
yeah. I
That's
would.
fucking awesome.
Jesus, man.
That's gotta be such a cool feeling.
dude, so I mean, these guys are in the clubs all the time, right? And when no one knows who it is, seeing them just, be normal people and hang out, no one bothers them, and then fast forward a few years later and like it's a mob scene.
Yeah.
It's a legit mob
It's
scene.
like acid rap happens, and snap of a finger, it's like overnight. This guy's like you said, him and his buddies are chilling. They're known, some people know him, but like probably in the rap scene.
Yeah.
Then next thing you know, 6 weeks after that, he can't even go anywhere. He's walking through. He's like parting the Red Sea when he walks through, and everybody's just following.
Dude,
him.
I was at Adelina the other night eating dinner, and him and his wife came in, and before he came in, these 3 monsters walked in and like did a sweep of the restaurant.
Just big security guys.
They did a sweep of the restaurant. I turned to my fiance. I was like, "Someone's coming in here, big." And then they went back out and were like, "All right, everything's okay." And then Chance comes through, and everyone in the restaurant's
Dude,
like,
it's nuts.
"Oh my God, Chance the Rapper's
Dude, I still
here."
remember when acid rap dropped and it was huge on the Dat Piff world, the blogs, and then Drake dropped that line in Draft Day, said like if I would have picked a name like Chance the Rapper, and I was like, what the fuck? And then after that, it was like people started to like around where I'm from, were like, who the fuck is Chance the Rapper? And I was like, you don't know acid rap, but like to watch Coloring Book happen, and then he's the headlining Made in America down the street from my house. Like, it was fucking insane. I just can't imagine to feel somewhat a part of that. Like, and of course, the shout out at the Grammys is fucking insane, dude.
That was like one of the greatest moments of my career,
What
without
can
a
top
doubt.
that for you?
I don't know. I don't know if you can.
Right.
I
don't
managed Valet. I got a gold record out of that. That was cool.
What do you?
That
are
was
you? Do you
fun.
manage Valet?
I was gonna say you're in management now, so
Well, that's the only person I manage. I don't know if I'll manage anybody else, but
dude,
we'll see.
what's your affiliation with like Rocky?
ASAP Rocky?
No,
Rocky Fresh?
Like Rocky Fresh.
Rocky Fresh? Oh,
I
dude.
thought you repped him now.
No, he's just the homie. I've known Rocky from when he was a young dude and watched him come up, and
Go to
I watched
MMG.
everybody bidding with, he had a bidding war after him, like MMG.
I only know
Diddy.
him through
Yeah.
through you.
He was an early guy to Fake Short Drive. Rocky's a great dude, but no, I've never represented him on anything like
So how did the Valley thing come about?
that. I just heard him on accident one day. I had heard one of his songs called Shell on accident. It came on my auto replay. Usually I turn my auto replay off YouTube because I hate it when they just start playing other stuff when the video's over.
Yeah.
And one day that was on. I think I'd restarted my computer or whatever, and one of his songs came on. And we had been posting them, but a guy that I worked with me forever, Ty Howard, had posted it. He was the one that had been posting it. So like I'd heard his name and I'd seen his name, but I wasn't super familiar with his music. And I probably tried to listen to it, and maybe it didn't click. Sometimes you just got to hear stuff in the right setting.
Well, and especially something as
For it to
unique,
click.
like when you hear like Womp Womp and stuff like that, like the flow is just different. It's something that probably does take a few listens, and you're like, this is fucking genius.
Yeah, I think I just heard it. And I'm like, this is different. And I just went and I looked. I looked at all his videos. I listened to he had like 4 mixtapes on SoundCloud, and I just went and listened to everything.
Yeah.
And I watched everything. I'm like, oh, this is super unique. I haven't heard anything like it. And I reached out to him, and he was super cool, but the conversation was so different than what I usually have with a recording artist or whatever. And he's like, hey man, if you ever need like a bar for your house or something like that, like I build stuff. So like, if you ever need, like, swear to God. And I'm like, dude, I love this guy. This guy is,
I
love
like
him
I build stuff.
yeah. I'm like, yo, this guy, and he's like, his brain was just different because he builds stuff. He can work on cars. He can do electric work. He can hang drywall. He can put like he has like a fish tank in his wall at his house. He can cut your car to put bigger rims on it. He can.
Damn, dude.
Did he ever wind up fixing anything in your house?
No, I never. I was like, nah, dude, it's okay. Stop doing that and make
Yeah.
more. Let's do more music.
Yeah, make more music for me. And then
But
we'll
he can
talk.
do that. He's like, and he was just going on. He didn't even want to talk about the music. He wanted to talk about this bar that he just built his mom. He's like, I just built my mom.
So
And I actually
fucking
saw
funny.
the bar. It was really good.
I love hearing stories like that. That just humanize
Yeah, because like usually it's like when I have a conversation, it's like, oh, when can we meet? When can we do this? What can you do for me?
What can you do for me?
Boom, boom, boom. But he was just like, hey man, if you ever need like some work done at your house or like you want,
Like you got a leaky fucking faucet.
he's like, I build ponds. Like I was like, yo, this dude is different.
And I also rap. Like I love that. Like it was like the afterthought of the conversation.
And that's what I'm always like, you know, I'm from the era of characters or just where every artist is different, has their own thing, their own unique sound and look and style, and they do this and they do that. Like I think that's part of what's missing in all music.
Well, yeah,
today.
I mean,
I think just all.
So I'm glad we segued into this because I'm starting to feel like an old man now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, is it because we're fucking old, or is it because things aren't even close to how they used to be? And it feels like what you just said. It feels like there used to be characters, and everyone had a style, and everybody had a personality, and now it's just.
Well, now everybody's weird, right? Because like it used to be, if if a rapper was like weird or whatever, it was like, oh, this guy's way different.
Yeah,
he's super weird. Now it's kind of like, all right, everybody's weird now. Everybody like has their thing, and it's like I feel like, and maybe I think part of it is age, but it's not all of it. Certainly,
right?
Because you're younger,
right?
What do you think? Do you think there's? I think maybe it's better to ask somebody who's younger.
Well, so we had this conversation on the podcast recently, and there was that string like a couple weeks ago where it was like 3 different classic mixtapes wound up coming onto Spotify. So it was like ASAP, and there was like 2 other Faces by Mac Miller, and then like, and I was saying like, why are people so fervently reaching back for these mixtapes that are available other places, but now they're just more readily available? Right. And I said, was that like 2009 to like 2013 era, the last era of like music that isn't skippable? You know what I mean? Because like we even said on the podcast recently, like I love Future. Future put out his record last year, and a week later I was like, dude, I wonder where we're gonna get new Future. Yeah. Like I think our brains are different now.
Our brains are completely different now.
I don't even know if it's the music necessarily, but our brains and how we consume music are so much different than they were 10 years ago. And I think it's on us, but it's also, of course, on the artists as well. But there's good shit. You just got to dive in and try and find
There's
it.
still a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah.
And I look for that, but it's just not the most popular stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I think that's where the issue comes. It's like, all right, I like it, but not everybody else likes it.
Right.
And once everybody else likes it, then people are like,
well, so why do you think music has such a short shelf life nowadays? Is it
because it's just so fast.
Yeah.
You're bombarded, right?
It's a digitalized world, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It really is.
What is it? There's 60,000 songs released
a day.
Is it a day or a week?
It's a day. It's a day.
That's a lot.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Okay, so you go back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, there was a finite amount of like famous people in the world. There was a finite amount of celebrities or not even podcasters, but sports people, or you knew who it was. Now there's like so many different ways to take a bite of the apple. It's like there's people on Instagram who are famous that have like 400,000. You never heard of this person, but they have a huge following on Instagram. You don't know who they are. There's TikTok people. There's just there's so much stuff coming, and it's like everybody's just trying to, it's a rat race. So everybody's like putting out stuff. People put out an album, comes out on Friday. By Monday, people are done talking about it.
That's what I'm saying. And like, even like,
and I feel bad for the artists because they put in a lot of time and effort into this music, and it's just disposable.
We had a big conversation when that J. Cole album came out, and I very vividly remember this. I was so upset because it was like the next week, and I was sitting there, and the week before we had like a half an hour conversation about why I love the off season so much. And we sat down the next week, and I was talking to you and Kenny, and I said, guys, remember that J. Cole album I love so much? I don't give a fuck about it anymore. And I was like, why? Why can I not focus on a great piece of art for more than a week? Why is that? And I think it's literally just like we have been bombarded with so much shit. And that bums me out because there is so much good shit out there. And sifting through it. And then you have to depend on the DSPs to show you what you should be listening to. And it's like, it's almost like there was this death of underground hip hop in a way because now hip hop's so commercialized.
It feels like there's such a gap though. And again, I'm not trying to talk from a DJ perspective, but it's a unique perspective.
No, I like to hear that.
I have my pulse on. I can see reactions in real time. So there's this huge gap between the Biggie and Tupac era and the current era.
Yeah.
Where like you're either playing stuff that's brand new and you know, on the charts at the time that everybody knows and has on their fucking Spotify playlist, or you're playing stuff, you know, you're playing Hypnotize or California
Mo
Love.
Money, Mo Problems.
That stuff still has staying power.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
No.
Dude,
It
and-
still works. These records still work.
Yeah.
Are the stuff that's, and I often wonder this too, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think about the same thing. Is the stuff that you don't really hear stuff that maybe came out 5 years ago.
Nope.
You
Dude.
don't. That's a great fucking call.
But I think this all the time. I'm like, the stuff that's hot as fuck right now, are we even gonna remember it 5-10 years from now? Like, I'm never gonna if I'm DJing by then, shoot me. But if I'm still DJing, I'm never gonna play this fucking Migos song. Like, it's never gonna be heard of ever again. It's like here today, gone tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, and that to me is why I had that conversation a couple weeks ago about like why blog era rap, like that specific area of time might be the last great period
Dude,
where we
it was the
remember
best.
things.
And it was the best. There were so many, the mixtape game, there were songs on like K-Slay mixtapes and
Who
all
Kid?
these bootlegs that were smashes, but they couldn't be released because they didn't get cleared. So they were only on mixtapes, and no one's ever heard them.
Yeah.
You know, because they're dead now.
Yeah.
And that's why I think that people celebrate these, you know, Mac Miller projects or whatever going to DSPs or the ASAP Rocky, because a lot of the stuff will be lost to history forever.
Yeah.
Because it never, you know, they just existed on Dat Piff or
Yep.
live mixtapes or a blog, like a You Send It link or what, you
Yep.
know, Mega Upload.
Mega upload.
You
Holy
know?
shit.
That was the best.
Dude, it bums me. I do get mad though when I go to look for like Rare Chandeliers or like these early Bronson projects and stuff like that, and I gotta dig in somewhere to find it or play it on fucking YouTube. Like, I am glad to see these classic hip hop mixtapes getting put on.
And I hate when you say that, like, people are like, well, you should have just had it on your own computer. But it's like, dude, maybe I want to listen to it when I'm driving.
Yeah, what the
At
fuck?
a point where, like, I'm not at my computer and I want to be able to listen to
Yeah.
it, and I necessarily can't, you know, and it's important for generations to come and for posterity.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll care, maybe they won't, but I like it to be available.
We just shit on a bunch of new stuff, but like, what is there new today that you are interested in? Like, what's in a rotation for you right now?
New people that I like. Probably you know, who I really like is Pink Sifu, if you've ever heard of
I
him.
haven't heard him yet.
His project Gumbo is one of my favorites of the year for sure.
Where's he out of?
He is from Cincinnati, but he's kind of like from all
interesting.
over. He's real dope.
Nice.
Like, I think his music is like super. It's there. He's got like, because he's from the Midwest. He also lived in the South, so it has a lot of different elements.
Yeah.
I like the Bruiser Brigade, which is Danny Brown.
Danny Brown's people. Yeah.
Like Bruiser Wolf and JUS and Fat Ray. You know, stuff like that is probably what I've been playing the most this year. Makami.
Yes. So you're all over the Griselda camp.
Yeah, I like Griselda a lot. I really like Makami.
Dude,
His
that
project.
That crew is so good,
Yeah,
man.
right. So
So
I love
good.
them. I like Rock Marciano. You know, Boldy James.
Yeah. So all the Alchemist projects,
love-
like,
yeah,
oh my
love all
God,
that
it's fucking
stuff, right.
outstanding, dude.
Yeah.
I just watched it. Was a really great interview with Alchemist, and it was like 45 minutes to talk about his process.
Was that the one they did with Noah?
Yeah, that's exactly what it
That's one of
was.
Dude, he's-
That might be the best Alchemist interview.
It's fucking incredible, dude.
He's on a whole different level, man.
That's someone who I would like to sit down and just ask questions about records he sampled. Like, how did you pull this? Where did you fucking get this from? How do you do this? And I mean, like, the stuff he's doing with Gibbs now is incredible. But the Boldy James records are amazing, and I don't know. I love that motherfucker.
Gibbs is somebody else that I knew from since 09.
Really?
Yeah.
So is that pre? Would you say that's pre Jeezy?
Oh, for sure. That was like 3 years before Jeezy.
Jesus.
Like, I had to sneak Gibbs in to a Cool Kids Bun B show at Reggie's.
What?
I was on the list, but they didn't know him at the time. They wouldn't let him backstage. They were letting me backstage. I'm like, no, trust me. Let this guy backstage. He wants to meet the Cool Kids and whoever else. And they were like, nah, man, we don't know this guy. We can't let him back there.
This random
And then,
guy from Gary, Indiana.
And then like 9 months later, he was on the Double XL freshman cover.
Yeah.
But that's how long I've known Freddie. So Freddie and I go back. So I've literally watched his career
Dude, that's
blossom. And you know, just to see him at Lollapalooza, I linked up with him before he went on stage at Lolla this
my
year, and to see how
God.
big the crowd was for him. And it was like, that felt good. He shouted me out on stage there.
Did he?
He thanked me on stage, which I thought was really dope. And it's just cool to see, especially somebody, because Gibbs is like my age, right? And he stuck with it. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy thing for him. He just loves rap. He loves to rap, and he wanted to make it work. And he had a bunch of pitfalls and bad stuff happen in his career.
Crazy shit.
But he worked through it, and he figured it out on his own terms.
Thank God for Madlib, dude. The Madlib collaborations absolutely changed the trajectory of his life, and he's just so gifted. I fucking love Gibbs.
Yeah, man.
Love Gibbs.
And I love seeing that. I just love, being able to see him and, like, people get to see his personality, how he is on, social media, how fun he is, and things like that. So I'm super happy for him.
I am too, and I'm really sad for academics for going at Gibbs because that was the worst decision he ever made, probably.
Yeah, I don't. That's a wild situation, but yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's still a lot of good music being made. It's just you got to dig for it. But
yeah.
I think what I miss most about maybe the blog era was there was like the human touch. I feel like there's not much of a human touch anymore. Maybe in DJing you have more of a human touch because you can still pick records and test them. Or did people want to hear new stuff, or is it?
It's half and half. It's girls want to hear the stuff they know,
right?
Because they want to dance, and guys want to hear stuff that they haven't heard 10 million times already.
Yeah.
So you gotta play.
Dude, I did a guest DJ set a couple times, like an aux cord DJ thing. Well, it's a hard job, dude. DJs, it's a tough to work a room.
Yeah.
Because probably the worst feeling is you clear a room.
Oh my God! How often does that happen, Dante?
Or when your shit crashes. Those are the two worst feelings.
Oh my God!
But hey, speaking of Lollapalooza, so a few weeks ago, that whole Astro World thing happened.
Oh God!
And I was blogging it, and I found a video from Travis's performance at Lolla, and it ended up being his that someone ripped.
Oh really?
Posted on YouTube, and I wrote this in the blog. I was like, none of these big journalists that have never heard of Travis Scott before that are writing about this story, no one's referenced the Lollapalooza incident. Well, here it is. And then everybody picked up that video, but it ended up being his video. He was side stage at the show.
Jesus.
Filming it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was there. I was in the fucking crowd. Like, I was terrified. I left.
Dude, that was nuts.
Fucking insane.
And that was what, 2015 to 2016?
Yeah.
I mean, it was pretty much, it wasn't like 2 or 3 years ago.
No.
He was playing Perry's. So he was still at the Perry's level. And remember, he showed up super late.
Always.
So it was like an hour, whatever your allotted time is at Law, that's like an hour, right? So he didn't show up till like a half an hour. He was like a half hour late. So the crowd was already like
pissed.
The crowd was already
worked
restless,
up.
right?
Yeah,
You could tell something was about to like it was about to go down anyway. And then he just walked on stage and started going, "Argh!" He's like was growling at the crowd, rushed the stage, and then everybody. And he got arrested. He ran off stage.
Was that the inciting a riot show?
Yeah, dude.
No shit.
And the news, my video was like all over the news. Like some of the news stations were crediting me, some people because the video went super viral.
Yeah,
that was like one of the first viral things that I had done.
Viral was viral. Yeah.
Jesus,
so
man.
Then it just did again with all this shit, but it wasn't. He wasn't getting credit for it.
Jesus
Some
Christ.
kid ripped it.
I don't get credit for some stuff. It's all right.
Nah, but you get shouts out at the Grammy, so you got that.
Yeah, it's kind of good consolation prize. Let's talk about Virgil, who sadly passed away last week. I mean, were you as shocked as everybody else was?
Yeah, I was. I'd heard something, but it wasn't like, I think somebody had like said something like kind of on accident, but I didn't think it was anything serious.
Yeah.
And this was a while ago. I didn't think I forgot about it. You know what I mean? And I hadn't seen Virgil in a long time. Like I hadn't seen him I just figured he was in Paris.
Of course.
You know, it's such a sad thing, man, because that's another person like that dude. I met him right around the time that he did the cover, or he worked on the cover for 808s and Heartbreak.
Wow. It's like 07, 08.
Yeah,
like,
that's when I met him. It was right when Fake Shore Drive kind of had first started. We had a mutual friend named Mark Moran, who used to work at Leaders, and Virgil had worked at Leaders kind of a little. He did some work. He didn't work there, but I think he did some work with them. And they were talking about like starting RSVP Gallery. So it was like around.
That's what you were talking about,
right?
yeah.
It was kind of around that time. So I met him right around the 808s and Heartbreak time, and he was like, yeah, this guy just hooked up with Kanye to do the cover for that. And I was like, what? You know, like this is still like, and that's just part of the blog era that was cool. There was still like a mystery about a lot of artists.
Right.
Still like,
yes.
Like you get an opportunity like that now. Maybe people would care, but not like they cared then.
Right.
So it's like, oh man, And then he just never stopped going up. Like from that moment, his trajectory was crazy. And like everybody's moving around, but like once he passed, it's like when you stop and look at all he did, it's like, yo, this guy is just a little older than me. Like he conquered the whole world
in 41 years.
That's what I said to these guys. I was like, you feel accomplished, and then you look at somebody like that, and you're like, wow, I haven't done shit.
It's like, yeah, dude, I got a lot of work to do.
But he was so connected to so many people, and I mean, you witnessed it even better than I did. You know, being so tight with those guys. Like I was telling these guys, like he was as Chicago as it gets. Like
he was Nigerian, right?
Like the super fun.
Where's his family from?
Ghana.
Dude, the super fun.
So I mean, he was at this.
You remember the super fun?
I told these guys,
super fun.
Best party ever,
God, dude.
I told him I was there one time. Pharrell just like walked in randomly, and is like.
I remember I wasn't there that night, but I know.
I mean, this was like a weekly thing though. If anyone came through Chicago, they would just go to this party.
Was it like a warehouse party? Like,
No.
where
Dude, it was in a bar about the size of this room. I'm not even joking.
What?
It was a hotel bar. This James Hotel had a bar called J Bar, and they threw this party there. And another awesome guy we were both friends with, Tim Buck.
Yeah, rest in peace to Tim Buck too, man.
Yeah.
It's like crazy. Those dudes used to DJ at those parties together.
Yep.
And it was every Wednesday night, and it was in this it was the smallest club. What was capacity in there? 100 people, maybe 80 people.
But they put 200 in there.
Hey, if Virgil knew anything, it was how to make something limited and make you want it. You know what I mean? So like even parties, like
line would be down the street.
Yep.
If it's 2 below out, people are waiting in that line.
Yep.
No jackets on, because it was a sexy party. You had to be like super fresh to get in there, and that was like the super fun Wednesday parties were a great era.
So think about this: a Wednesday night, not really a going out night.
Nope.
I mean, if anything, it fucks your whole week up.
Yeah.
Because you're going out on Wednesday.
Right. Then Thursday's Monday.
So Wednesday night, it's in a hotel bar. It's not even in a club. And they turn this into like the most sought after night. Same thing with RSVP. It's in the basement of this building on Damon Ave. And you'd go by it a million times, and unless you were looking for it, you'd never notice it. But I told these guys, like, everybody would be hanging out there all the time. Like,
you don't know who you could run in there. Kid Cudi might be just in there hanging out. Kanye could be there if he was in town, and he's slides in and out of town. I mean, that was a nucleus. Like that was like such an important thing.
I remember the first time I asked somebody, I was like, "What's that boutique on Damon Ave?"
With the neon lights.
And they were like, "Oh, that's Kanye's stylist place." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he does all Kanye's styling." And I was like, "Virgil?" And he's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh my God, he fucking owns that place and he's working for Kanye?" I had no idea. I thought he was like a promoter. And then,
oh my God,
I mean, he
never stopped. It was like that dude got the look. He got. You see a lot of people who get opportunities and like they just blow it or they fumble it or whatever. Like this dude he kept scoring every time he got the ball.
Man.
He was. I mean, and I think he made a lot of strides for the fashion industry, and he broke down a lot of barriers and walls that were there, and like he was helping. Like I know a lot of young creatives in the city that he was helping out and giving guidance to and kind of mentoring, and that's a tough loss. I mean, I think that's a big loss. Not only for Chicago, but like
the world, dude. Like I don't know that anybody's ever had a better ability to influence the way other people dress and see things. It's like Kanye maybe, but like Virgil was behind that. So it's kind of like just to watch a legend like that pass away, but it does remind you just how much that man did in such a short amount of time and what a beautiful person he was.
It's unbelievable, man. It really is that he was able to do all that. But it's like that's the scariest thing about life. It's like, you can do all that, but if your health could just give out at anything could happen at any moment.
It's crazy, man. It really is. And I'm glad we actually had you here to talk about that because we got so into the Virgil thing on the podcast last week, and just what a beautiful human being, man. It's fucking insane.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. I mean, I'm glad that you got to see the super fun and you got to see that era because that was a wild time for Chicago. That was like a special time for sure.
You probably agree with me. Like during that time, it was one of those weird moments of life where you knew how special it was.
Yeah.
Like
it was like this is history. Like I'm definitely at
but
like
you knew Chicago was like on the top of the world at that time. Like, I mean, they ran the rap game for that period, And
this is Kanye at his peak. This is right
For
around
sure.
the time
Right.
of like Twisted Fantasy.
yep.
You know, right when you remember when Twisted Fantasy came out, everybody was wearing the suits, the matching.
Oh yeah, what were
the
they?
Rosewood or
The
whatever it was.
yeah.
Everybody and people would be in there on a Wednesday night. Everybody would have those suits on. That's crazy, dude.
I wish I was here. I was in fucking high school in Philly. But dude, Andrew, I can't thank you enough for taking the time today, dude.
Oh, dude, it's my pleasure.
I really can't thank you enough. And I guess my last question kind of is like, what does Fake Shore Drive look like now? And like, what do you have going on this current second? Like, what are you working on?
That you can talk about.
Yeah, that you can talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah. You know, still doing it's like the blog. Obviously, I blogged for so long that it's like the transition of just blogging that has changed. It's like everything's kind of moved to social media. Probably have some more long form stuff coming. More I definitely more requests to be doing more podcasts and more things like that. More speaking. I didn't think I'd end up doing that, but like that's kind of like what people want.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be doing more of that. Some stuff that I can't necessarily talk about right now, but a lot of stuff in the works, man. Just gonna continue to try to keep pushing forward. And you know, after the Virgil thing happened, definitely lights a fire.
Oh yeah.
Your ass, and it's like, man, I got to do some more. I got to do some more stuff. So I'm glad that, well, hopefully, COVID is you know, going away. I don't know what
We all hope. We all hope that.
right, because that messed up so much stuff. Like, so hopefully that I think we can everybody in this room can probably agree with that. So you know, we'll see where that goes. But
Yeah.
you know, I'm happy just to still be here doing it, man. Still working. You know, this is 2022 will be our 15th year of Fake Shore Drive.
Congrats, man.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. And that's it's hard, man. The music industry's hard, man.
Seriously, it really is.
True shit. Do you got like your first dollar you earned a friend or anything?
I can't even tell you what that was. I can't even remember what that was, man.
You don't remember the first time somebody paid you for that shit?
2016, Dan, he texted me. He's like, "Hey, you've been like breaking shit. I can get you $250 a month." And I was living over in Ukrainian Village with a high school buddy at the time. I was like 25 or 26 or whatever. And I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I get my
That's the best
feeling,
right?
You know?
And you're like, this is the best feeling.
Fuck yeah! I was like, "Fuck
You're making way more money at your other job, but you're
Yeah,
like, yo,
exactly.
man,
I was
I
like,
made this on
yeah.
my own.
Yes, and now this is my job. Regardless whether I make more money over there, I got paid for this shit. So this is what I'm telling people I do now. You know what I mean?
One thing I always like to ask people that we have on that are successful, we got a lot of people that listen that, you know, are musicians or just fans of music in general. But everybody's got, you know, a goal in mind. And for somebody that pretty much is pretty self-made like yourself,
pretty self-made."
yeah, what advice would you give to somebody that, you know, thinks this mountain's way too tall to climb, I'll never do it, or they're struggling? And basically, what advice would you give yourself if you could go back 15 years?
Do it now. Like, and you know, don't. Like, I think anybody can second guess them. Like, some people, like, history favors the bold, right? Like, people that aren't scared. I wish I would have taken the chance sooner,
Yeah.
you know, and have done it sooner. But the technology wasn't available.
Right.
Like, I couldn't have been a blogger much earlier than I actually was.
You would have had to have been like a newspaper writer, basically.
Right. I mean, right. Everything was so different. And so, like, that, I think now it's even easier, man. There's so much opportunity afforded to everyone that's doing this now. You know, you could find people, you can reach out to people on social media, and like somebody might respond to you.
Yeah, like,
That's why you're here today.
right.
Literally, that's why you're here
You
today.
couldn't have done that 15 years ago.
I know, isn't that nuts?
It is.
You couldn't do that. You had to maybe find somebody's email or like hit them up on MySpace. Dude, it was impossible. Like, dude, I was trying to get a job at a record label. That was always my goal.
Yeah.
People wanted me to start a record label. I probably won't start a record label, but I've had offers to do it. Maybe we'll do that, but that's another conversation. But like, I always dreamt of being an A&R at a record label, right? And I wanted to get a job, wanted to be a campus rep, wanted to do this, wanted to do that, and I just would fax my resume to every record label. On the back of the CD, there'd be the address of, you know, Arista or Jive,
Yeah.
and it would be like Jive Records, you know, 101 New York, fax, and I would literally fax my resume to all the record labels, every single record label. Got 0 responses.
Zero.
Some
Zero.
fucking mailroom guy's getting it. Like,
Yeah, he's just
this guy
shredding
won't-
it right
this guy
away.
won't fucking stop.
Yeah. fuck this guy. They're just tossing it.
Like Shawshank Redemption when he wants the library fixed, and he's like, they didn't respond to the first, my weekly email for a year straight. So what did I do? I started sending 2 letters a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kenny says it all the time too. Like Kenny, he's got a song that's got billions of downloads worldwide, and he's like, dude, when I was first starting, I would send 100 emails and I'd get 5 back, and like maybe 1 would be a hit, or like I started working with someone, and you got to take those shots.
Yeah.
You can't score if you don't shoot. It's a really cliche and easy thing to say, but it's the truth.
I think even established people can learn from that. I can even learn from that. Sometimes
yeah.
you got to shoot. You always got to shoot. Like you can never stop doing that.
Right.
And I think like, continuing to be motivated and like just kind of not being scared to take the chance is important, but also like not giving up, because it's not going to happen overnight. It takes years, dude.
Right.
I mean, some people luck up and it happens quick, but I think
exceptions to the rule for sure.
But everybody sees that now because of social media. It has everybody's brain.
Yes.
It's like, well, this person is like got X amount of followers and they get X amount of retweets or they get X amount of likes. It messes people up, and like it throws them off course, or like they quit.
Yep. I totally agree. You see it so much now with this younger generation. They expect immediate success, or they move on to the next thing.
To the next thing that they think is like, all right, what can I do quick?
Yep.
How can I quickly make a bunch of money, or quickly get rich, or quickly get famous, or quickly do this? And it's like, man, anything worth it takes time, and you gotta really love it. You gotta put in the work, and then once you actually get the opportunity, it's like one of the most valuable lessons is, dude, if you get the shot, just be good to people, be nice when you come in, and be just courteous, say please, say thank you, be appreciative that anybody wants to talk to you. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, obviously I can't do every podcast, but like I'm even flattered that anybody would ask me to do that.
You were my number 1 choice.
I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. You know what I mean? Like, and be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it.
Yeah.
Don't flake. Don't burn people. Don't rip people off. Don't, and not always like that quick first buck or whatever is like the best look, and, have some integrity. It's like, simple stuff that you were taught when you were a kid.
I always tell people, like I cover sports first and foremost. Like, you can't get in trouble for telling the truth. So like, even if like the truth hurts, like you can't get in trouble for telling the truth, because the truth's the truth,
Facts.
So yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Seriously, man.
Just listen to you guys riff right there.
I mean,
It's been fun.
this is a really like a cool full circle moment to be able to have you sit here, and for the first interview in Chicago to be Andrew Barber is unbelievable, and we can't thank you enough, man.
No, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Long live the show, guys. Long
Long live the show.
show.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thank
Great
you so much,
interview.
bro.
Oh, thank you.